Do you know how confusing it is to be a Liverpool fan right now? Do you know how weird it is to watch your team absolutely destroy another team and then just get weirdly frustrated against another side, a side who actually know how to play your team? There's a lot to unpack here, so I'll be interested to know what you guys think down in the comments below. What is the deal with Liverpool this season? What's your theory behind why these things are happening? I've got quite a few of my own theories that, again, keep developing throughout the season, but I'd be interested to know, so let me know down in the comments below. If you haven't already hit subscribe, hit it. But Liverpool are a frustrating side this season. They do brilliant things, and the next moment they do terrible things, and those things have been on display all season. Let's not pretend like this is some sort of surprise. In fact, you go into a lot of these games thinking, hey, a win last week, it's a loss this week. The confidence and the level of belief is so on and off, everything feels so binary, when actually it is so nuanced. But within that, there is so much to unpack around Liverpool. I actually felt like Liverpool started the game really well. I love the combination of this front line of Salah and then Gakpo in the middle, and then on the far side, Nunez, but sometimes those two interchange, a couple of good passes. But it was quite clear that Liverpool, that wasn't the issue today. The issue was the structure of the midfield yet again. And Liverpool keep structuring midfields which can't compete in the Premier League. Now, that's not to say that individually these players aren't good. It's just to say that the roles that each of these players are playing in, the support and the shapes that they're trying to make, don't scan well against the Bournemouth side who are A, going to sit deep, B, going to counter-attack with some sort of pace, and C, try and target individual players within the team that they know when you target them individually, they're going to have issues. I don't think that anything I've said there is unreasonable. Okay, well, great, we're on the same page. Then follow me further down the page to the back line. That is Liverpool's strongest back line. You've got Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right side, so there is a good form of attack. There were times where there was good defense, but there were also times where he was just pushing up at the wrong time. Again, trying to push into midfield because some of the shape was off today. Then you got Konate, that kind of exposes him one-on-one, but actually he's not been all that bad one-on-one. And actually, the tackle where they called a free kick was I thought that was actually a Konate, that was a good tackle. And then the opposite of that is obviously Virgil van Dijk, he's not got that aura back, but the level of control and the surprise element of some of his defensiveness, I love. And then Robertson either has a great game or a terrible game, and he just kind of had a good game mixed with, oh, we don't really know what it is that you're trying to impact on that side. Anyway, Bournemouth knew what they were doing against Liverpool. The sides that beat Liverpool this season have got such a clear game plan, and they executed it perfectly. They used their counter-attacking pace, they perfectly executed the goal that they scored, and could have executed even more because Liverpool were exposed in trying to push for another. And it was clear, as soon as Liverpool go 1-0 down, the confidence is slightly... there's a little sandpaper taken to it, and so the sheen is taken off, and the side begin to look a little bit more human. They go from feeling like, hey, we can just work our way into this game into, oh, we need to score, we need to prove that we're... And they start rushing things, moves start to get overthought, and the issues start to expose themselves again. So, again, it's classic Liverpool this season. It's another one of those, hey, transitional season times where there are a couple of players on the side who But then why start with that midfield if that's the case? Why not start with a Jordan Henderson if you're going to start Bajcetic and someone like Harvey Elliott? It's a very light midfield, right? Sure, it's a midfield that you can move things through quickly, but you knew that what Bournemouth were going to do. You knew there was going to be a level of physicality and frustration, and time after time, especially today, you keep seeing that Liverpool, especially the younger players, get muscled off the ball. It's nothing personal to them, but it's just a fact that a younger player is not going to have the arms or the legs to play against some of these heavier and more robust guys in the Premier League. So why play into their hands with that? Now, Jurgen Klopp isn't going to watch this video, but if he was, I don't feel like he would watch it and go, actually, that's an unfair criticism of what the side were doing. I'm not saying that what they were trying to achieve was not a good goal for this Liverpool team. I'm just saying that at times it feels unrealistic as a Liverpool fan to ask this team to do some of the things that they do, to have the structure in midfield with two young players who are probably a bit more used to drifting, to have something around those players which is going to support them, and then also to put forward attack after attack after attack when Klopp makes these tinkering changes either at half-time or during the game, which frankly take away from the balance of the side. You brought on Milner, you brought on Henderson, Jota came up. In all of these changes, the tinkering and the slight changes that Jurgen Klopp makes take away from the cohesiveness of what Liverpool are doing and the game plan that it seems that they were so clear on at the start of the match. I don't know about you, but there have been times where this season I felt like Klopp hasn't been outmanaged, but another manager has managed to frustrate him, right? So if another team is 1-0 up or another team is in the ascendancy, I'm not sure that Liverpool have the wherewithal to change the game back into their favour often enough. Because sometimes the decisions that are made and some of the shapes that Liverpool are trying to make get completely taken away from by the fact that they have certain players on the field who can't enact those kind of shapes or can't do the right thing. I thought Henderson sat nicely deep when they're cyber counter-attacking today, intercepted a few counter-attacks. Great. But then Liverpool out of nowhere are bringing Fabio Carvalho on, a player who hasn't played for months, a player who's clearly been out of favour in some of the back rooms, maybe because there was something that they wanted to develop in Fabio. They wanted to check what was going on with A, the way that he was playing for Liverpool, but B, also some of his approach. We know after the interview with Pep Linders that went out earlier this week, the 4-point plan that they like to see from not only the Liverpool players who are there, but also the Liverpool players they're going to sign. And there are questions over whether Fabio Carvalho ticks all those boxes all at once, about the level of optimism around the team, about the level of where he's aiming for, about the level of belief that he actually has in the structure and also the goals of the actual club itself. If you're asking questions about those kind of things, you're not going to get into the Liverpool team. It has to be doubters to believers. And it seems as if people were beginning to doubt, at least behind the scenes, elements of what Fabio Carvalho were bringing. Very interchangeable names within the Liverpool side. So it's good to see him back on, but at this time, in this scenario, I'm not saying that Klopp doesn't know how to manage or see games through. But there are times where you are left to question some of the decisions that are made as a Liverpool fan, but also just neutrals watching the game alongside. It'll be like, I don't understand why Liverpool are taking away from some of the positives. You can see that Nunez was sort of on it today. You can see how good the relationship between that front three is. Why take away from that? Maybe there's someone out there who can explain why they would take away from that. Why, when you bring on Jota, you would shift to a formation which drops Hakpo slightly deeper, get into some of the positions that some of the Liverpool midfield are trying to get into, and suddenly all the heat maps are like overlapping each other. I don't understand why you would do that. It's not me saying I don't think Klopp knows what he's doing. It's that I think some of the elements of what they're trying to ask the players to do at the moment, the players aren't fully trained on. The players aren't fully sure of what it is that they're trying to achieve. So they're trying to do things on the fly. They're trying to achieve some of the goals that Klopp sets out for them. And I don't know if they have the mental tools that they're meant to be coached to have to enact some of those things right now. Now, you can say to me, hey, actually, it's just the legs. It's actually that it's FSG and this team aren't turned over quick enough. But coaching is still coaching of a side whether you bought a brand new player or not. And we can't rely on moments of individual brilliance from players, which we don't, because it's clear that Liverpool's system is improving and we can see what the goal is for Liverpool right now. But alongside that, why can't those two things be progressing at an equal rate? Probably because a lot of what Jurgen Klopp is currently seeing in his squad is we're going to have a lot of turnover in the offseason. We're going to have a lot of players who aren't going to be here. And so, we're bedding these guys in. Maybe in the short term, we're trying to get them up to a certain level. And I'm seeing that I can't get them to do the things that I want them to do, or they're not fit enough to take part in enough training sessions to then get them to what I want them to do. That must be eternally frustrating because it leads to people like me questioning whether Jurgen, not legitimately, but questioning what Jurgen Klopp is capable of, whether the coaching has happened in the right way. And actually, there are a number of nuanced, detailed decisions that have taken place behind the scenes, not only from Klopp, but feedback from the players and all these kind of things, that are reasons why players play in certain ways. But after a 7-0 win, by the way, turning points in any season, I'm sure I've titled plenty of videos that way. I've started to understand that and started to take the approach to any turning point. Liverpool don't approach games like that. Liverpool don't approach seasons like that. It's not about this is the one thing that we base all of everything else on. Klopp tries to spread out the risk, spread out the accountability within the side so that it relieves some of the pressure on these players. Because imagine that pressure is incredibly high right now, right? So I guess there's another thing to mention here is obviously after a 7-0 win and on the eve of going to the Bernabeu and having to play Real Madrid in a game which already feels beyond Liverpool, but if you are going to put it on any side to turn a fixture around in the Champions League, you put it on Liverpool. There's a mixture of, hey, we've got to get this game done. There's a mixture of, hey, we've got another game coming up, which is also huge for us because we've got to stay in the Champions League. But there's also a mixture of, well, are we looking at this season or are we looking at next season right now? Are we looking at hey, we need to get in the top 4 here, guys, because by the way, a win for Liverpool today puts them how many points off the top 4? That's right. So if you think about it in terms of the long-term and the short-term goals seem to be conflicting sometimes at Liverpool. The short-term goal is to get players that at the end of the season will lead Liverpool to play well in the short term in order for the long-term of the club to be good. But the long-term goal for some of those players is conflicting with what it is that they want to do, right? Obviously, someone like Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain will want more minutes. Naby Keita will want more minutes. All these guys are going to want to go out there and get themselves new contracts, kick on, go into new positions. Even someone like Roberto Firmino, who's going to give a great end to the season to Liverpool. You can't question his commitment to the side. Half in, half out, sort of, you're very committed to the cause because you're a professional, but at the same time, it's not even questioning that. It's once you know that a player is not any longer going to be at Liverpool beyond the end of the season, it's not about questioning their commitment. It's about saying, well, what pieces would fit in here? Why are Liverpool not offering you the contract then that you want? Why are you one of the, not expendable pieces, but a piece that Liverpool can afford to take out and move forward without or with something in place of? There's no need to blame Firmino, blame a player that's not going to be here come the end of the season, blame someone. It's about explaining why these decisions are happening and why maybe some of Liverpool's dependency and belief that they will get some big signings at the end of this season is currently hampering what is going on in Jurgen Klopp's plans. Now, Klopp can be frustrated, Klopp can be angry, he can be disappointed, which he probably is all 3 of those things, and you want your manager to be those things. But the real issue at Liverpool right now is a number of different timelines aren't lined up. And that comes down to all the things that were said in the press this week about getting the good leaders within the hierarchy at the club, getting people in who understand the transfer market, getting people in who can renegotiate players' contracts and please people within that hierarchy in itself. All these things are currently having an effect on what is going on the field. And I'm sure there are some pragmatic viewers who are saying, no, you're just making excuses. The players didn't play well enough. We should be beating Bournemouth. We should be doing X. Bournemouth pushed Arsenal to the very wire last week. And, Arsenal were amazing in coming back. No one wants to take away from that. But the reality was also this team is also playing better. Liverpool needed to approach this game in a different way. And at the moment, I'm not 100% sure there's a level of focus within this Liverpool side which allows them to do that. Now, that is on those players. That's on the club, right? No one says there's no accountability for some of these decisions and the timelines that are out of whack or out of place around the club. But I think trying to find one cause and making them accountable is a problematic way of trying to look at issues at Liverpool right now. And I could make a video where I just go, screw this guy and screw that guy and this guy's terrible and that guy's terrible. I don't know if that's the kind of channel that I want to make. I don't know if that's the kind of content that I want to make because I don't see that as being a productive or even insightful conversation. So I'm not looking for you to blame people in the comments. I'm not looking for you guys to be like, oh, it's this one thing that everything hinges on. I'm sure there are plenty of big things at Liverpool that it hinges on right now. But I am interested to know if you think this build-up of different pieces that aren't quite clicking together and some of the timelines of aging players meets players who are professional but not quite within the window you want them to be in to perform well for Liverpool. All of these things are crossing over and you've got multiple different timelines that aren't quite stacking up. And it's basically forming quite a weak structure at Liverpool where when things like this happen, and again where you go, you got Nunez, Hakpo, Salah, those players end up frustrated because we start a midfield that isn't going to be conducive to the rest of the system. And surprise, surprise, every time that Liverpool's midfield is not in a structure that the team can kind of rely on and doesn't feel as solid, Liverpool lose the game. Look at the difference between having a solid midfield against Manchester United, which outbattled Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, all those guys, and a midfield which is youthful and clearly has a future at Liverpool, but is not currently the structure that Liverpool want to field. What's the difference between the two? I'd be interested to know what your theories are. But until then, thanks a lot for watching. I appreciate it. Oh, and I've been watching games with this guy. Look.
Hi.
This guy's on CBS. Same thing. Yeah, same. And
that's a real shame.
Yeah, but you got your own thing going on in America, haven't you, buddy?
I got my own TV show now, so I guess I send you an invoice.
Yeah, just
appearing.
The 3K.
Also, I think Liverpool needs Harry Maguire.
Get out. This has been great. This is why you have Americans on your channel. And I'll see you guys in a little while. Much love.
It's called soccer.